Well, welcome. Welcome to practice. So, if you're not already in a comfy seat, go ahead and find your seat. Shift your weight a little bit from side to side as well as front to back, finding what feels like a comfortable seat for you today. And then, as you let your eyes close, just start to check in with how you're feeling in your body today, particularly noticing if there are any physical sensations that are present, any parts of the body that you might want to pay special attention to as you move, or any injuries that you might be working with. You can always skip or do something slightly different anytime there's something that isn't quite right for your body. You can also feel free to leave any questions that you have in the comments below the video if you have questions. All right. So we'll take our palms together in front of the heart. And then as we inhale, we'll reach the fingertips up toward the ceiling. Exhale, reach out and down, spread your fingers, release them all the way down to the floor. Turn the palms up. Inhale as you reach out and up. Exhale, hands come to the heart. Again, as you inhale, reach up. Exhale, out and down, release your hands to the floor. Again, inhale, out and up. Exhale, hands to the heart. All right, now interlace your fingers. Press your palms forward and up. Reach up through one hand and up through the other side, left and right a few times. Give just a little bit of a pull or a tug on your fingers as you reach up through one side and then the other. All right, let your hands release all the way down to the floor. And then slide the right hand out a little bit. Take your left hand to your left shoulder, and we'll start to rotate a couple of times in one direction. And a couple of times the opposite way. All right, then sweep that left arm up alongside your head. Reaching with your left hand, squeeze and release the fingers, as well as rotate through the wrist a few times each way. All right, let your next inhale lift you up. And exhale, release your left hand down. And then walk it out a little bit, leaning into it. Right hand to right shoulder as you start to rotate a couple times in one direction. And a couple of times the opposite way. All right, then sweep that right arm up alongside your head. Reaching with your right hand, squeeze and release the fingers a few times, as well as rotate through the wrist. All right, with your next inhale, lift up. And exhale, release your hand down. All right, so we'll shift onto hands and knees. And as we come to hands and knees, just start with your hands underneath your shoulders, knees underneath the hips. And then as you inhale, let the belly drop. Lift your head and your tailbone. As you exhale, tuck the tail, round the back, chin toward the chest. Again, with each inhale, belly drops, head and tail lift up. Exhale, tuck and round. And then one more, breathing in. And breathing out. All right, as you bring your torso to neutral, tuck your toes under and then lift just your knees. So don't go all the way to downward dog just yet. Just let your knees lift up and hover. But try to maintain that same position with your spine that you had when your knees are down. So for some of us, when you lift your knees, the impulse will be to round the back. Try to keep your spine in neutral, tailbone reaching back as your knees hover. Take one more breath in. Now exhale, lift all the way up. into downward facing dog, and then lift and lower the heels. All right, release down to your knees. Step your left foot out to the side, directly out from your hip. And then walk your hands in so that you can lift up. Take the left hand to rest on the left leg and right arm up alongside the head. Draw the navel gently in towards the spine as you start to tuck your tailbone under slightly. So kind of a tucking under of the tailbone. Take another full breath. All right, inhale, lift up. And exhale, release your right arm. We'll step the left foot forward into a short or long lunge. So it depends on what works best for your body today, whether you've got this front knee right over the ankle and then the back hip right over the knee, or maybe that front foot is a little further forward and you take the lunge a little bit deeper. But find what feels best and most stable in your body. And then we'll take the arms behind the back, interlace the fingers, and squeeze the shoulder blades together. Open up across the chest. And with this opening across the chest, now start to turn your head gently from side to side. Your elbows might be bent, or you might have your arms straight. Again, depending on what feels best in your body. All right, bring your head back to neutral. Your hands to the floor, and then step your right foot forward so that you come into a forward fold. Take your feet a little bit wider than your hips, and then just sway your weight from side to side, left to right. One hand on each ankle, or maybe your hands are on blocks if you have them, or something similar. But just sway your weight a little bit left to right. And then walk your hands up the fronts of the legs, rising to stand. We'll take the feet to hip distance. And then as we inhale, push the hips back, float your arms forward and up as you land in chair pose. Try to take a little bit more weight into your heels than the balls of your feet, such that you might even be able to lift the balls of the feet a little bit here. All right, now as you exhale, press into your heels, rise up, and release the arms down. Do that 2 more times. Inhale, find your chair pose. Exhale to stand, release the arms. All right, one more, breathing in. This time, exhale, fold over your legs, hands to the floor, walk your feet back to downward facing dog. All right, release down to your knees. Untuck your toes and sit back towards your feet. Folding over the legs or between the legs as we come into child's pose. You might come down to forearms. You might take your head all the way to the floor. For some, it may be comfortable to take the arms back so your hands meet your feet. We'll take 5 cycles of breath here. All right, after your 5th breath, rise back up onto hands and knees. This time, right foot out to the side. Walk your hands in, lifting up. Take the right hand to rest on the right leg and left arm up alongside the head, side bending to the right. Again, a slight tuck of the tailbone, gentle engagement of the belly, drawing in toward the spine. All right, with a deep breath in, lift up. And exhale, release your left arm. Now again, we'll step this right foot forward. Your choice whether you want to come into a short lunge or a longer lunge. But either way, take the arms behind the back, interlace the fingers, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Again, the arms might straighten, the elbows might need to stay bent, but the point is to get this feeling of spreading or opening across the chest. All right, we turned our head side to side. On the other side, so on this side, we'll lift and lower the chin. So when you're ready, just start to slowly take your chin up toward the ceiling and then down toward your chest. A couple times in that way. All right, one more breath. All right, head comes to neutral. Release your hands to the floor. This time, step the left foot forward, again into your forward fold. Let your hands find your ankles or shins, and then just shift your weight side to side, left to right. Couple of times. All right, walk your hands up the fronts of your legs, rising to stand. We'll move into breath of joy. So 3 breaths in through your nose, 1 breath out through your mouth. So as you breathe in, you'll take the arms forward, out, and up. And then as you exhale, you'll bend your knees, sweep your arms back, similar to that chair pose that we were doing a little bit ago. All right. So feet slightly wider than your hips, a little bit of a bounce in your knees. And let's begin. Last one. And then just pause, fold it about halfway forward, letting your energy settle back down. All right, gradually rise back to stand. And then we'll step wide on the mat. So stepping pretty wide here. Let your right toes turn all the way out towards that short edge of the mat. Let your left toes turn in just a little bit. And then take your arms out over your legs. And then you'll turn your head to look over to the right and take a breath in. Exhale as you bend your knee. Again, inhale, straighten that right leg. Exhale and bend the knee. All right, one more time, breathing in. And breathing out. Now, as you keep your right knee bent, take your right forearm to rest lightly on your thigh. Take your left arm up alongside your head. Now, if you're feeling at all unsteady here, look down at the floor at your right big toe or in that general vicinity. If you're feeling pretty steady and you want to challenge your balance in a slightly different way, you can turn your head to look up beyond your upper arm. And then keep putting less and less weight in this lower arm so that you're really feeling like you're lifting up out of your pelvis rather than collapsing onto your right leg. All right, one more deep breath. All right, inhale, lift up, straighten your right leg. Exhale, release the left arm. All right, so switch the legs. Left toes turn out. Right toes turn slightly in. Again, arms over the legs. Deep breath in. Exhale and bend your left knee. Again, inhale, straighten. Exhale and bend. And one more inhale, straighten. And exhale and bend. Now maintaining the bend of your left knee, left forearm comes down to lightly rest on the thigh, and then right arm up alongside your head. Again, you might look down towards your left foot. You might look up beyond your upper arm. Balance out the weight between your 2 feet. Is that possible? All right, one more full breath. And then inhale, lift up, straighten the left leg. Exhale, release your arm. All right, step near the back of your mat. Feet about hip distance apart. Take a breath in, find another chair pose. Hips back, arms up. Exhale, fold over your legs, walk out to downward dog. All right, deep breath in, rock forward, finding your plank pose. And then exhale, release your knees, bend your elbows, take belly and chest all the way to the floor. And then we'll untuck the toes and bring the arms forward to take the elbows underneath the shoulders. Gently press down into your forearms, lift your heart, reach back through your toes, and then turn the head side to side. As you're turning your head from side to side, when you turn your head to the right, bend your right knee and hug that right heel in toward the bottom so that you feel the back of your right leg engage as you pull the heel in. And then release, turn your head to the left, do the same thing. Bend the left knee, pull the heel in toward the hip. A couple of times as you turn the head, bend that side's knee. Side to side. All right, so we started with the right. So after the next time that you turn your head to the left, and then bring your head to central, release your heart down, release your head. Bend both knees, and then sway the feet side to side. All right, release your feet down to the floor. Take your arms alongside your torso. And then as you inhale, lift your head and chest. Lift your arms, squeeze your shoulder blades together. And then we'll also lift the feet up here. So feeling the back side of the body engage as the heart, the chest open up. All right, one more breath. And again, melt into the floor. Pause a moment. And then in whatever way is most comfortable for you, go ahead and turn over onto your back. And so as you come onto your back, you're going to hug the knees into the chest. Rock a little bit from side to side. Gently massaging your back, your hips, the back of your head. All right, then we'll cross the right ankle over the left thigh. Bring the legs in toward the chest. You can reach through for your left leg, maybe around the shin, maybe behind the knee. If it doesn't quite work to grab that left leg, you can grab a hold of your right foot and start to hug it in toward the chest, perhaps grabbing the right foot and the right knee with your 2 hands, drawing them in. Take a few cycles of breath, checking in with that right hip. All right, then release the feet down to the floor and just switch sides. So left ankle, right thigh. Legs come back in, reach through for that right leg or the left foot/knee. Rock a little side to side, checking in now with that left hip. All right, take one more round of breath. All right, release the feet to the floor, step them a little bit wider than your hips, and gently sway the knees side to side. All right, let your left leg straighten. Take the right knee in toward the chest, and then let your left hand take a hold of that right knee, and then just cross it over towards the floor on your left side so that you roll fully onto that left hip. So your hips are basically stacked, one on top of the other. And then take that right arm back over to the right. You can kind of experiment with how high you place your arm. Find different and interesting sensations in the shoulder depending on where you place that right arm. And then if you do have props at home like a pillow or a cushion, you might put that underneath the right knee or underneath the right arm if it helps you relax more into the shape. Hmm. And just allow your head and neck to relax here, including the facial muscles. Let the eyes and tongue become heavy. Hmm. All right, slowly guide that right leg back through center. But for the moment, keep the right knee still bent. As you now drop it out to the right side, right foot meets the inner left thigh, similar to a tree pose, but laying on your back. And then just let your arms rest wherever they are. Take a couple of breaths. All right, so we'll switch sides. Go ahead and straighten out that right leg. Take the left knee in toward the chest. Let your right hand catch hold of your left knee as you take it over toward the floor on the right. So you're stacking your hips, left hip right on top. And then take that left arm back over to the left. And again, you can experiment with the height of that left arm. Find some interesting sensation for your shoulder. And if you need or want support underneath your left knee or left arm, feel free to use whatever you have, whether it's a blanket or a book or a block, a pillow. Again, relaxing the cheeks and jaw, eyes, the tongue. All right, after your next breath releases, slowly guide that left knee back through center. Again, just keep the knee bent for the moment as it drops out to the left side. Left foot meets the inner right thigh. Couple of easy breaths. All right, let both knees bend. And then step your feet wider than your hips, so maybe about as wide as your mat or so. And then drop the knees in toward each other. All right, let your hands rest on your belly. And we'll practice square breathing to conclude our practice for today. So think of the shape of a square having four equal sides. Think of the cycle of your breath in that same way as having four equally length parts. So you've got the inhale and then the retention of that inhale, so holding the breath in, and then the exhale, and then the retention of the breath out, so abstaining from breathing. So you'll breathe into the count of 4, hold it in for 4, exhale for 4, and then don't breathe for 4 counts. All right? So the speed at which you count to 4 can be at your own pace, but let each of those 4 parts of the breath cycle be roughly the same count to 4 so that it's kind of like a square. And so one of the ways that I kind of find a pace is I pause and listen if I can sense my heart beating, and I kind of go with that pace. You might choose to do that too if you wish. So go ahead and begin when ready. Again, it's an inhale to the count of 4, hold it in for 4, exhale for 4, and then hold the breath out for 4. And then just repeat that at your own speed. We'll do this for just about 2 minutes. After the next time that you exhale, release the control of your breath so that it just starts to flow back in and out of the body without restriction. Begin to notice again how you feel in this moment, what physical sensations might be present, as well as what thoughts and emotions might be present. And then you can stay here a little bit longer if you want to, just observing and feeling your breath and sensation within your body. But if you're ready to move on to whatever is next in your day, gradually roll to one side. Pause for a moment, maybe a breath or two. And then when you become ready, press yourself up, coming into a seat. And as you find the seat, we'll bring our palms together in front of the heart, bowing to the light within ourselves as well as each other. Thank you again for practicing with me, whether you're live with me here or on the replay. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.